The time for public comment. When a member of the public may address the commission on any subject within the jurisdiction of the commission that is not scheduled before them that day. Total time is 15 minutes, and I have one speaker slip from Mr. Patrick Harwell. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm not going to take anywhere near 15 minutes, but I represent myself and three other gentlemen. We form a partnership who've had a small airplane here in Santa Barbara for the past 16 years. And we've been fortunate enough for the past 5 years to have a hangar for that airplane over at Atlantic Aviation. We own a Cherokee 6, and it really likes being in a hangar. Anyway, we've just recently discovered from Atlantic that they are on the verge of losing all their T hangars over there. Apparently they don't have acceptable place to move them to. They're currently on a part of the ramp that's going to be taken over by the main terminal area, I think. And so that's why I'm here. I'm just expressing concern on our part that Santa Barbara Airport's going to lose affordable hangar space. That's really the extent of my comment. I'd just like the commission to look into the possibility of some place where these hangars could be moved to so we could continue to have access to them.
Madam Director, would you like to make any comments?
I can just sort of bump forward to my director's report where I was going to give a very short briefing on the schedule for the terminal project. We will start going out to bid with, first phases of it in June or July, and hence moving or working with Atlantic to relocate the T hangars and tie downs that are in the area where the terminal project is going to move towards. This was all, has been anticipated for many years and was anticipated in their existing lease. We provided in that lease additional land in anticipation of this move. And in fact, it's a little bit more land, or it's about 93,000 square feet of land, as opposed to this particular piece that we're taking away is about 73,000. So it's more space. However, Atlantic is in very tight quarters, so I understand their concern. But it is our intent to, and has always been, to keep those hangars until on the airport, as sad as they are looking, until there are some replacement hangars at least to offer people. Whether they take them or not is another story. So we have a meeting with Atlantic's manager next week, and we will be discussing and talking about options for how he might arrange his ramp. So I wouldn't panic just yet. There may be a time when we need to panic, but not yet.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the speaker? Okay, thank you. I don't see any other public comment slip, so we will move on to the notices. And that on Friday, April 11th at 3 p.m., the Airport Commission Secretary duly posted this agenda. And that the terminal the design subcommittee met on April 2nd at 8:30 in the Airport Administration Building. And moving on to the consent calendar, are there any changes or additions? Madam Director?
No changes.
Okay. Anybody like to take any of the items on the consent calendar separately? Okay.
Make a motion that we accept the consent calendar.
Okay, it's been moved that we accept the consent calendar.
Second.
It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, moving on, that brings us to administrative reports.
We have tonight Assistant Director Johns will be making a presentation on our fiscal 2009 budget.
Thank you. In June of 2007, City Council adopted the two-year financial plan, which covered fiscal year 2008 and 2009. Prior to the second year of the financial plan, departments are asked to go back and review previously submitted budgets and revenue estimates and make any changes based on changes in trends, new events, significant financial or programmatic changes that might have occurred or might be anticipated to occur. Additionally, performance measures are updated and expanded with the budget process, and staffing changes can be requested. As part of the mid-cycle budget review, airport staff set up priorities for the next year. The first priority after operational safety and compliance, obviously, is the new airline terminal improvement project, which has been in the making for several years. This year, we hope to complete the design and permitting requirements, prepare and issue bonds for construction, and then start construction, as Karen indicated earlier, beginning this summer. An important element of the project is the potential for solar-powered project in the long-term parking lot, with the expectation that the energy that's generated from this facility would meet the need for the terminal. That's also going to be done through an RFP process during next year. And of course, continuing the city's program to promote and implement sustainable projects is also a major endeavor for us. Moving on to our revenue picture. Projected revenues for the second year of the two-year budget are slightly less, about 2.5% than the current year, and that's done recognizing that with construction at the airline terminal, parking will be impacted, as will concessions. The adjustment for non-commercial aviation is the shift in use of the Forest Service property to commercial industrial. So our new budget is $12.8 million in revenues. This graph just takes pieces of the pie and shows you their comparison. Operating expenses. In the two-year financial plan, expenses were estimated, and with the operational budget that we're doing right now, we have, this is 1.5% under what we proposed when we filed the two-year plan in 2008. Cost for the parking shuttle operation, which is a special project, has increased due to cost of the vehicle, replacement, fuel, maintenance, and salaries. Excuse me. However, the pay-on-foot equipment that we're installing will reduce the cost overall for the parking operation. Another increase in operational expenses is water, and that's under supplies and services. Goleta Water District instituted a huge increase for us in water meter charges, and that happened in July of this year. It's about $250,000 a year to our budget. The use of water has been fairly static. We haven't increased our use of water, but the meter charge was added to that. So that is a big hit for us for next year. The pie chart just gives you a snapshot of the airport's budget, the cost for the intra-department agreements with fire, for ARF services, as well as the Public Works Department for engineers is included in supplies and services. We're often asked about what happens in case of an emergency. City Council established reserve policies in the early 1990s, I believe 92, 93, after that slight recession at that time. All departments, including the city, has been asked to reserve 25% of the operating budget, 10% for economic or emergency situations, and future year budgets is 15%. Capital is an average of the last 5 years. So the airport's required to have $4 million in reserves, and we do. They're fully funded. And in addition to that, we have $2.8 million above reserves. And that money is set aside for capital investment at the airport. fee adjustment, the only fee that we really have is a parking fee. And as part of our EIR, Planning Commission condition for the terminal, we have to come up with an alternative transportation plan. That plan is being developed as we speak. And we anticipate that it will include a variety of recommendations, one of which will include fee adjustments. But we'll also be making changes, relocating the short-term parking lot to the long-term lot. We'll operate the lot number 2 off of Hollister on a 24-hour basis. And at the time that these changes take effect, we'll adjust the rate and bring that back to Airport Commission and then on to City Council. P3, performance measures. The city instituted this program in 2003, and each year the performance measures are evaluated and tweaked to reflect new projects or programs, improvements, or a different way of measuring performance. Quarterly reports are filed with the city administrator. He reviews those and sends his comments back to staff. In the next couple of slides, I'd like to just identify a few of the new objectives by program area. Administration is pretty much devoted to sustainability, setting the policy for the department, and as I mentioned earlier, the solar power proposal for the long-term lot, and then having staff attend training workshops on sustainability is one of the measurements. Business and property, we want to complete the concession program for the new airline terminal improvement project as part of that. And we also hope to, this is sort of reduce carbon emissions along with personnel costs in the long-term parking program, or in the parking program, once we have pay-on-foot equipment. We're hoping it'll push the cars out faster and therefore they won't idle as long. We also want to coordinate with rental car companies and see if we can establish a goal for a number of hybrid vehicles that they could incorporate in their fleet. So that's our goals. Marketing, we're going to update and renew the website, flysba.com. And Terry will also be working on community outreach efforts as the airline terminal project gets underway. We know that we need to keep the public informed of what's happening and any changes that they need to anticipate. So that'll be a major program for us. Facility maintenance is also in sustainability. We're going to be looking at replacing roofs with a reflective material that would reduce the heat island effect. And also when we need to replace HVAC, heating and air conditioning units in our buildings, that they become more efficient. The AOA, Airport Operations Area, they're looking to develop a plan to phase in LED lights on all taxiways. Security Patrol will have a new procedures manual and then also a formalized training program for new employees. Facilities Planning and Development will initiate construction of the airline terminal project, as well as the rent-a-car quick turn area facility, and initiate the beginning of airport master plan. More things to come with that. As I mentioned earlier, you can make staffing changes during the year, but they really prefer that you do it at budget time. And this year, the airport asked for 4 changes in staffing. The first was to conduct a salary survey for the marketing coordinator position, and that was, the city agreed to include that in negotiations which begin this summer. They'll do the survey and include it in negotiations. We also needed to reclassify the senior custodian because the duties in that position have become more intense, and we felt that a reclassification was in order. Similarly, we did the same with an airport operations assistant to make that a 2, I believe, for a senior. We deleted the maintenance coordinator position. We have 2 of those in maintenance, and we deleted one that had been vacant for some time. And then we added in its place an administrative assistant to do the computerized work order system, the purchasing, and general administrative duties for that whole division. You'll recall, too, that we did the capital program at the beginning of the financial plan. It covers a 6-year period. Generally, we always take care of our contractual obligations through maintenance program, and then we identified some infrastructure projects, 2 of which we have underway, and then we also wanted to implement the aviation facilities plan. Our capital program, as you recall, is paid for with reserves above policy, federal grants, passenger facility charges, and customer facility charges from the rent-a-car program. This is a look at our contractual obligations for just maintaining our assets. We'll be allocating $750,000 for those projects. And the 2 infrastructure projects, airport water system and the sewer system, both of which are underway. The water system will begin construction this summer. And on the airport sewer system, for a new lift station and a gravity flow line, that project is also being designed as we speak. We'll go through permitting, and we hope to have, or Goleta Sanitary District hopes to have it under construction by the summer of 2009. Now, that completes the budget presentation, and we would like any of your comments to be forwarded to City Council on the budget, and that hopefully you could recommend approval of the Airport Department's budget for 2009. Thank you.
Any comments? I have one, just quick one, which was in trying to read the report, page 6 had the adopted budget for 2008 and then the proposed mid-cycle budget. It would have been nice to have had a 3rd column that showed the difference dollar-wise
A variance
up,
column.
and maybe next to that a percentage change, so you could just quickly look and see that some of them had changes, some didn't. So
Good point.
It would have been nice to have a little more detail, and these roll-ups are pretty large. I know in some of the previous years we've seen a little more detail on the categories. I did have a question on facilities maintenance, the expense. You've increased $234,000. Just was wondering what, I noticed you had taken, or there were reductions in several of the other kind of maintenance types of categories. I was wondering if those had moved just into a different category, or if there was things in grounds and AOA removed and other things included additional work in facilities maintenance.
Facility maintenance, the increase in facility maintenance is for water. And the deduction in parking is the pay on foot equipment change. And, I'm sorry, which other one did you ask
Was
me
the
about?
AOA maintenance and the grounds and landscape maintenance?
Primarily, we had funds set aside for mitigation, and we have completed our mitigation requirement for some of the projects in the slough, so we were able to reduce those line items, not significantly, but by a certain amount, $39,000 and $49,000.
So the facilities maintenance increase of 234 was mostly water?
Yes.
regarding
When I mentioned earlier the charge for the meters under water, that's under facilities maintenance, under utilities. That was the big increase there.
And there's no distinction between water for grounds maintenance and facilities maintenance then?
No,
It's all in facilities?
It's all in facilities.
Hazel, did anybody else in the Goleta Water District get this kind of a hit on meters, or is it?
Yes.
So this was a,
It was district-wide.
Right, it was raised for, significantly for all commercial users and somewhat for residential users for the meter charge.
so this is a tax on an individual meter.
It's a charge for individual meters, yeah. They probably wouldn't call it a tax, but it's a charge for.
And it's based on the size of the meter. We have some 10-inch meters, we have some 6-inch meters, 2-inch. So they increase the monthly amount by size of meter.
From their perspective, they felt that the residential users were carrying the burden of the commercial users, and they needed to adjust that.
I'm sorry to ask this. I noticed that you looked at the price and allowed for the new vehicles for the transfer from the remote parking lot to the terminal. Have you factored in as we are all concerned with the price of gas increasing?
A decrease in parking,
You were
Or
looking
our
at the
fuel?
Yes,
the fuel costs for airport vehicles.
yes.
Parking shuttles. He was asking about parking shuttles.
Oh, parking
Well, in
shuttles.
particular, I was,
fuel
but
use.
overall,
The fuel
yeah,
use.
because I know that it's a pretty tight budget, and I note that the price of oil is going up $1 a barrel a day, and I'm sure you did, because I'm confident, because you're very good about that, but I want to reassure those who are paying attention, other than us.
The budget for that operation was prepared by our parking operator, AMPCO, and they provide that service in a variety of airports. They did increase the amount for fuel, and I'm not sure at the time that they did it what price they were using, but those vehicles use diesel, so
Very
it's
good.
already high to begin with.
Okay.
But I'm sure it could fall short if fuel continues to go up. But they did have a pretty significant increase in that particular line item.
Very good. Once again, just trying to reassure those others. I thought that it was, as always, accurate and concise and easy to follow along.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments? Do I hear a motion?
I'll move for approval. Or,
I'll
yeah,
second.
Okay.
recommendation.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is passed.
Thank you.
The director's
We're
report?
back ready for the director's report.
Okay. First, I'd like to, on behalf of all of us, thank Commissioner Clark for chairing commission. And we have afterwards some cookies and lemonade and coffee. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
In terms of the director's report, passenger count, we were up a little over 2% for March as compared to March of 2007, and year-to-date up 3.4% compared to the same period last year. Really, the reason for that is ExpressJet's service, so they really helped out. In terms of air service, you all know that on May 22nd, Allegiant will start service to Las Vegas 3 days a week. Right? They're still 3. Nothing's changed. So we're looking forward to that, and it'll be a little bit different type of service than we're used to in terms of your traditional airline. We last week had a pre-proposal meeting for the self-service fueling facility. We have a request for proposal out on the street right now. And I would say we had 4 or 5 different parties?
6 companies.
6 different companies that attended. We had a very good discussion about the request for proposal. They went on a tour of the 3 different sites, and we're going to extend the period to receive the proposals to about mid-May.
May 29th.
May 29th,
Uh-huh.
End of May. And then we'll provide them with some more detail on the site, sizes of each of the sites and the utilities and so forth, information. So I'm pretty excited. I thought that was a really good response that we got. We had companies as far away as Hesperia that came, who were on the Hesperia airport, and we had some local on-airport people, and we have some, one of the companies that came made a presentation to the Santa Barbara Airport Advocates some months ago about their type of self-healing facility. So it'll be interesting to see what proposals we get, and we look forward to it. The T-hanger project, the manufacturer is ready to put in the new thresholds for the doors to replace the ones that cause such difficulty getting airplanes in and out. So the tenants are turning in their keys so that we can open the hangars to have the manufacturer replace the rails. So hopefully that will go smoothly and turn out to be the solution to the issues that we were dealing with the old, not the old design, but the original design. It's not that old.
3 months.
I am very pleased that the Nuno who manufactured the hangars, when we notified them about the problem, they took responsibility for it and immediately offered to replace them. So I was very pleased about that, because that could have been a nasty fight had they not. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you about? I think that is about it. We had a great little celebration for the completion of the runway safety area project, tour of the airfield and the different mitigation sites. So I thought everybody that took the tour and came to the event seemed to enjoy themselves, and it was good to have Mayor Bloom cut that ribbon and be done with that project. So.
Congratulations.
It's a shame you couldn't put the ribbon across the runway.
I know. And have you come cut it, fly in to cut it. Exactly. I was thinking about that. That might be a little too dramatic.
We need to have a little video of this stuff for people who can't attend.
Well, there is.
Yeah.
There is.
Oh,
Actually, they videotaped it, and it's on.
City TV.
Yes. And I wanted to compliment you and congratulate you. It was a well-received reception. It received some great press, and I thought it was very, very good for the airport, so congratulations.
Great, thanks. It's a long time coming, and I'm glad it's done, and it was well worth it in the end. Okay, and that ends my director's report, unless you have something on, that's on the report that I didn't mention.
I have a quick question about the very nice insert we had in the water bills a month or two ago that was a discussion of the airport, which I thought was great to acquaint the public with what we're doing. Is that something that is easy to do, or is that something we pay to push?
We pay to have it. The city sells that as a advertising venue, I guess you say. So we've done that several times for different things to update the public. So it is a pretty effective way. I don't know how many water bills they issue in the city, but a good number.
I had a couple questions. First, I wanted to reiterate my remarks from the other presentation and really compliment our air traffic control staff up there for doing a real remarkable job, I think, of keeping us safe during the safety projects, because there was, it seemed like quite a bit of change going on at all the times, and they were nothing but patient and seemed to do, and really helpful during that whole process when things seemed to be moving daily, and I thought they did a remarkable job. Couple questions on the Pay on Foot project. What's the current schedule on that project?
The equipment has been ordered and will be hopefully installed in May. It's the most recent schedule that I have.
Okay, so just in time for the tourist season.
The actual procedure they're going to be using, you will pay at a kiosk in the lot or at one at the terminal?
You can do it one of two ways. You could take your ticket once you enter the parking lot, take it with you on your trip. When you return, you could go to the bag claim area if you're collecting your luggage, put it in, pay, and then you'll have a period of time, probably 15 minutes, to collect your luggage, get to your vehicle, and then exit. And you'll have a little card to exit. Otherwise, you could also use your credit card when you pull into the lot, go away on your trip, and then you come back and you put that same credit card in. As you exit, it'll tell you what you owe, it'll charge the card, and the gate opens and off you go. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. There will be a training, certainly a training program for staff, but also customer service reps will be available to help any passenger who has difficulty or has questions about the program. We'll also, as we get closer to distribute information through the parking program right now, a brochure handout to explain the new system and how it operates. If there's going to be a delay, I'll make sure that I get back to Airport Commission. AMCO, the public parking company, is the one in charge of that project.
So will there be another outreach advertising campaign to advise the public?
Thorough one. Yes.
I assume that would probably be the case. And then another question on the quick turnaround facility. And Julie, in regards to, you submitted the plans in December to the planning for permitting in December, and you've gotten comments and you're expecting to have it resubmitted the second week of April. So I'm just a little curious, that sort of turnaround on such a small project, what does that tell us about a much larger project like the terminal improvement project? It's a 4-month turnaround on a relatively modest project that's almost an order of magnitude smaller.
Yeah. I met last week with the Public Works Director, the Community Development Director, the Chief Building Official for the city, and Owen Thomas, our engineer, and we discussed how the city was going to handle, building, the review of the plans for a building permit. And because the project is a LEED certified project, it will go automatically to the top of the list in terms of the top of the pile. Unfortunately, I don't think the building department caught on that the QTA was a LEED project also, and our engineer on the project didn't realize that it would have helped in terms of putting it at the top of the list. Also, it's an important, very significant project for the terminal is for the city, and that alone would have put it, to the top of the list. So between LEED and that, it will be handled, as quick as possible and in priority.
Well, it's good to hear. It'd be kind of tragic to see it
Yes.
delayed in permitting for a year as costs go up hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly. Our estimator estimates that for every month of delay, it's $250,000. So,
And didn't Owen say today that the one set of plans weighed about 75 pounds?
yeah, the plans are about this
Huge.
a wheelbarrow.
It's a huge project.
Yes, it is.
A lot to look at.
Oh, and next month I will make a presentation to you on, bring you up to date on where we are with the project, with design, with schedule. We'll have an estimate in by then, a latest estimate on the terminal. So I'll have quite a bit of information to share with you.
Great. Any other comments?
One quick one. On the pay on foot, I was very impressed at our previous meeting when AMCO was here and demonstrated the training that was going to be going on, and I'm excited about it. Is there going to be press coverage on that too? Because it's a pretty novel thing, and I think it's pretty exciting for Santa Barbara. And that would also assist in what the passengers can look to expect. Is that part of the package as well?
Yes.
Very exciting.
Well, Terry will work with us on the marketing aspect of it. Yes.
Very cool.
Anyone else?
I have one question.
Yes.
On the marketing, on what we plan to do to let people know in the area what we're going to be doing with the development of the new terminal and the time and the stages and all that. Are we going to get an opportunity to review that?
Yes.
Yes.
What Terry's going to put together?
Right.
Yeah.
And we're
Okay.
starting to formulate that right
Yes.
now.
Okay, great.
Any other comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're adjourned.